Good morning, Hypno Yogis. I hope that you're off to a great Wednesday so far. As a lot of you know, I do hypnotherapy, I'm a magician, and I also do psychic readings. I know that a lot of you have come in and had hypnotherapy done, and I also know that there's a lot of you who probably have never experienced a reading or really know what happens when someone has a tarot reading. And I would like to just kind of give a sample tarot reading. There's a very specific way that I do this. I know a lot of people have different types of spreads that they do. I prefer to start my readings out by doing a palm reading. It just kind of helps to build a personal connection between me and the sitter. And then the spread that I actually use reflects a palm as well. For me, it works really well because it makes it easy. Instead of having to remember all these different spreads and all these different formats and all these different planets, I'm able to basically kind of interweave one system to make sense for me. So I really like to use these really old cards, and I'll just show you what I have here. This is an heirloom deck. It comes from a company called Card Shark, and they're beautiful. You'll notice that I've kind of repaired my card box here, and I just have this to say about this. A real man's tarot deck is covered in duct tape. Anyways, these cards are... It's an heirloom deck from Card Shark, and they're just beautiful cards. They've got really cool designs on the back, and then the front, they're all aged and old and archaic and medieval looking. They're just really special, really fun to look at. They're closely related to the Thoth deck. In the Thoth deck, the Strength and Justice card are exchanged. So instead of like the White or Riot, the Strength card is usually key number 8 and Justice is 11. But in the Thoth deck and in this deck, it is actually reversed. So that means that Strength is 11 and Justice is 8. I'm not sure why Crowley switched that. I think it has something to do with his work on the Kabbalah. I haven't actually researched that yet, but it is in my list of things to do. So basically what we want to do is shuffle this thing about 5 times, and I'm going to have to set down my phone to do this. So just bear with me for a second, and I'll try to get this done. If I could do a one-hand shuffle, that'd be pretty badass. But these are kind of big to do a one-hand shuffle. I actually used to be able to do a one-hand shuffle with a normal deck of cards. But yeah, these are just too big for me to do that with. So just give me a moment. I'm going to shuffle these up, and I'll be right back. I like to shuffle them 5 times. It kind of goes along with the 5 fingers of the hands. Usually I'll follow up a session like this with drawing up someone's zodiac chart. And I've been also kind of playing with doing a little mini reading with my hypnotherapy clients before the session. And that kind of gives a lot of meat into the session, which has been pretty interesting. I may actually teach a class on how to incorporate tarot readings with a hypnotherapy session sometime in the future. So I think this is about 5 times. Then what I like to do is I just like to split the deck into 5 equal sections, and then I'll pick one. So, and I'm just going to go for the second group there, and once again reign in control of all these. So I just kind of do it intuitively, but each one of the stacks does mean something. So if I laid them out in 5, I'd have that one, this one, this one, this one, and then another one. Whichever group or cluster the client grabs actually means something, and it's all according to the planet domains for each finger. So in this case, I've intuitively just chosen the Saturn finger, which is the realm of responsibility. So let's see what I need to do to be responsible today. Once again, the hand layout, it's just like a typical hand. So what we're going to do is we're going to have one card for the thumb, one for the finger, one for all the fingers, one for the palm, and then one for the mound of the moon. So it goes just like this. Just like a big old bear claw. And then we got the plane of the Mars and the plane of the moon. I kind of do this my own way. So if we look at each one of these fingers, what we have here is we have the thumb, which is ruled by Venus. We have the forefinger, which is ruled by Jupiter. We have the middle finger, which is ruled by Saturn. We have the ring finger, which is ruled by Apollo or the sun. We have the pinky finger, which is ruled by Mercury. And then we have what's called the plane of Mars, and there's actually 2 nodes of Mars as well when you're doing a palm reading. But for now, we'll just be concerned with this plane of Mars card. And then, of course, once again, we have the mound of the moon. So if we look at our Venus card, we see that we have a coin, an 8 of coins, I think that is. Or no. Oops, I'm wrong. Okay, so it's justice. Justice. So it looks like for today, it will be important to focus on balance as far as my romantic life is, or maybe even your romantic life. Just make sure that you're keeping things balanced today if this reading is speaking to you. Then we go over into the realm of aspirations. These are our hopes and dreams, the things that we're aspiring to. And this is definitely going to be, I feel like it's going to be probably a King of Swords. So this may be a situation, yeah, King of Swords, a situation to where I'm going to have to make sure I keep myself in check by making the proper decisions and not getting too lofty in my goals and my aspirations today. The next one is ruled by Saturn, and this really has to do with responsibilities. And of course, finances are always an important part of responsibilities. I'm not 100% sure if this is going to be a knight or a queen, but it is definitely a high responsibility card is in regards to money. So with the knight, a lot of people will read these cards and they'll say that they are actually different people. I prefer to read them as though they're different reflections of ourself, because we all have all these different dualities inside of ourselves. And so in this case, the king is a reflection of yourself. The knight is a younger reflection of yourself, but there is more of a due diligence in making sure that things happen financially in regards to this responsibility card right here. If we go into the creativity card, which is ruled by the sun, we'll see that we also have another coin card. So, you know, sometimes to really be able to channel your creativity, you have to have the proper funding. But to be able to get that proper funding, you also have to be able to think on a meta level or higher, which would probably mean that this may end up being a 7. So 7 represents higher thoughts, thinking above the mundane. There's a sense of charity. So when we find ourselves being creative, sometimes we can be charitable in our creativity. kind of like how I'll do free magic shows for the Esplanade House and some of these drug rehab centers around here for kids who don't get that kind of entertainment. So that's definitely a good representation in my reading. We'll move on now to the communication card. So what's going to be important in Mercury to focus on with communication skills today? Well, you know, decisions are always an important aspect of this, but sometimes we can make hasty decisions like a young knave. And the sword card is really the card about obstacles and decisions. And the knave card is kind of that youthful part of ourself, which just kind of goes by the whim. But even though sometimes we can make hasty decisions, it's still important to communicate our ideas with others. So I believe that that's what that would mean in that realm of Mercury. Now, if we look at the last two cards, the way I prefer to read these is Mars is kind of an active, conscious aspect that we want to focus on for the rest of the day, whereas the moon is more of an unconscious kind of perpetual force underneath the Mars energy. So if we look at the Mars card, the plane of the Mars, we'll see that we'll have another sword here. So it looks like for today there's going to be lots of important decisions to make. There's also a lot of high cards here, but this time I believe that this is going to be it seems like it's an 8, so it's going to be important to remain inspired when we're making these decisions, because sometimes when we make decisions it can be more of a chore. But I was wrong, it's a wands. So this is actually in response more to work and obligations. So the active card today is to keep that inspiration going in regards to our mundane activities and work and chores and social obligations. Unconsciously, what's going on here is something completely different. We have a higher arcana. Unconsciously, the motivation of the support of that planting the seed of new beginnings is going to be important to maintain that momentum for work today, it looks like. So that's kind of how I'll do a reading. After I do the reading, we'll actually add up all the numerology underneath all the cards here to find out what the underlying message is to kind of tie all this together. And then I'll kind of wrap things up with doing like a zodiac chart or some coaching with my clients. I am offering this for really cheap right now for this month, only $20 for a reading, which is a great deal. Usually it costs about $1 a minute to work with someone to do this, and that's about an hour work for only 20 bucks. So if you'd like a reading, just go ahead and give me a call at 530-828-0880. We can do it over the phone. We can do it in my office. We can even do it online just like this. Whatever you'd like, and we can kind of help create some clarity for you. Just give me a call and let me know how I can help you. Until then, HypnoSwami out.